good speaker here. We are eager to hear our keynote speaker, Shri Bhimaraya Metri ji, Director IIM. So I request sir to please come on dais.
Very good morning, respected Honorable Minister of State of Education, Maldives, Dr. Abdullah, the founder and CEO, Time2Grow Media, Sri Manit Kurana, and the special guest, Preeti, Ravindra, and all the distinguished principals, the faculty members, academic leaders, invited guests, and also another special guest, Sri Siddharth, and ladies and gentlemen. It is my proud privilege to be a part of this Education Summit, 10th edition of Time2Grow Media. I think the name itself, Time2Grow, it is a very unique name. Probably you find one of the rarest of rare. I think Maniji, it is a great initiative and it is need of an hour for education sector, because today is the time Indian education sector is moving in a different direction under the banner of National Education Policy 2020, NEP 2020. I think Honorable Dr. Abdullah Rashid Ahmad ji rightly said the needed skill for 21st century. I think many of you, heard and read about National Education Policy 2020, that is NEP 2020. Today it is a gold standard. And NEP 2020, it is a total transformation in education. So this sea change difference in education is going to happen by implementing NEP 2020, right from the primary to secondary to the higher education. In all the three levels, a transformation is going to happen. Not only transformation for the sake of transformation, but this transformation is going to take India to higher heights. India is going to lead the world by 2035, successful implementation of NEP 2020. It is a 15-year time, 2 years have been already passed. But 2035 also, there are predictions by the different agencies, international agencies, that 2023, China is going to take over the economy of US. And by 2035, when India is going to implement 100% NEP 2020, by that time, India is going to take over economy of China as well as US. So India is going to lead the world. So that is the time we would have implemented 100% NEP. So that is where this NEP implementation is an extremely important step, and all efforts have been made, and NEP is very close to my heart, because I was part of NEP right from the committee has been appointed, Kasturirangan committee. They have interviewed many organizations and many individuals, right from Bharat Ratna C.N.R. Rao to begin with, and 217 people focused interview the committee members have made, and I was one amongst them when I was working as a director of Indian Institute of Management, 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲, Tamil Nadu. So I interacted with the team, and even implementation, Government of India has appointed a number of committees, 7 task forces. One of the task force, integration of higher education, I was part of it, which includes vocational education, teacher education and technical education. Apart from that, effective governance, current 𝗟𝐿𝐴𝐺 Vice Chairman and myself and also the Gujarat Technological University Vice Chancellor, 3-member committee for effective governance at the state government level, university level and the institution level. So we have come out with the document. So a lot of work is currently going on. Visible results will come very soon. With the new structure, Higher Education Council of India and 4 standard bodies at higher education level and lot of changes at primary level. That is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. So that is going to bring enormous change. But if you look at the entire document of NEP 2020 and looking at the media time to grow, so if you really want to grow every institution, every faculty member, and we want to make students to grow, I think NEP 2020, there are certain qualities which are mentioned in NEP document, I think we should be following. I think there are 4 important values, particularly at primary level, to be inculcated in the minds of students as a part of learning. Because the foundation for character building happens at primary level, not at higher education and mid level. We do cosmetic, but the real structure from I can say, हम हिंदी में बोलते हैं मिट्टी से बर्तन बनाने का काम जो है, I think it happens in primary level. And that is where spiritual values, many times we focus mostly on a physical hygiene. We do exercise, we do a lot of things to maintain our body and all, but we never think about mental hygiene. Mental hygiene is extremely important like physical hygiene. These 2 hygienes are extremely important, and that is where mental exercise or mental hygiene happens through a spiritual value. That is, it may be a yoga, meditation, concentration, whatever you can call. Even people in the defense and all, they go for golf, basically to enhance the concentration and highly focused, laser focus. I think our Honorable Minister was giving the example of the Nokia and all other companies are Indian CEOs leading the Silicon Valley of USA, and not only Silicon Valley but America and Singapore education is also headed by Indians. Now why it is happening? Because highly focused. So when once Bill Gates' mother invited Steve Jobs for a dinner along with Bill Gates, and before the dinner she conducted one test, 30-second test, both of them. She said, I am going to conduct a test, both of you, because both of you are very successful entrepreneur in your respective field. And she gave on a piece of paper a question, and she made them to sit apart. They should not see each other, talk each other. Like a teacher, and that too like a primary education teacher, she said you have to sit apart and you have to write, and time given is 30 seconds. And the question was, what is the secret of your success in your respective business? That was the question, and she told them to write in 2 words, not in a descriptive manner, but 2 words. So both of them within 30 seconds wrote and put the piece of paper, and then she took those 2 pieces of paper and shown both of them, even though both of them written, but the exactly words were same, both written laser focus. The 2 words were laser and focus. So success lies in laser focus. And that is where it is extremely important to make our students focus on, that is a mental hygiene, a spiritual value. Then the second one is a building character, moral value. Moral value, if you look at the Guru Shishya Parampara, our own tradition, there the Shishya used to stay with the Guru and seeing the behavior, the way Guru walks, the way Guru talks, the way Guru conducts, based on that Shishya used to learn, and that is where do's and don'ts, a control mechanism, living with the Guru, they used to learn, and that was the character building, a moral value used to happen, and then the order of value is given in NEP for moral value, number 2. Number 3, because today a societal fabric is damaged. Look at Russia and Ukraine. And also if you take last 10 years, so many wars, so many disturbances and terrorism, even many countries in Africa, the peace has been disturbed. Because the peace disturbed because of the damage in social value, damage in societal fabric, and that comes a moral value which is do's and don'ts, and that are taught as a part of character building or moral value. So after the spiritual moral, then after the moral, third important value is a social value. Social value means basically how to live in a society. If you go back to a Nalanda tradition, if you go back to Indian knowledge system, so it talks a lot about a non-violence and compassion. Non-violence and compassion. Mahatma Gandhi demonstrated the world. Nelson Mandela, who is a strong promoter of education, he said, you can only change the world by education. Education can only change the world. And that is what the statement he made, Nelson Mandela, who was the strongest follower of Mahatma Gandhi. So that non-violence and compassion, these two things are written long back in Nalanda tradition, so that social values, probably, in IIM Nagpur, we this year, as a part of NEP, we are planning to take the students to rural India, that we are going to take them as a part of Bharat Darshan. Means the village, otherwise if you ask milk where it is coming, people may say it is coming from Varna. No. So they don't know, they have not seen the cow, they have not seen the buffalo. So that is where it is important to see the way people walk in a village, with chappal, without chappal, and the kind of situation they live. Because I, being a son of farmer, first generation educator, and if you walk in a hot sun in a summer in your field or in your farm or even on the road, probably when I was a student, I going to high school 10 kilometers away from my village to another bigger village. So we used to go by walk, and in those days only the elderly people used to wear the chappals. Kids, they have to be barefoot. So we used to walk. And in those days there were no, and today thanks to the then Prime Minister 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲, Pradhan Mantri 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲 youjana, I am one of that policy formulation, I am one of the member while working with its planning. But in those days, PMGSY roads were not there, very beautiful roads in small villages today you can find. But in those days, by walking you can make a road, one village to other village. So that was the time we have seen. That is where it is important how Bharat is different than India, and how much is the gap, digital divide. So that is why taking the kids from urban to rural, showing them what India is. They should be able to make a difference between hot and cold. If you don't make that, then you can't create a social value in them. That is why what our India is, how big it is, and what varieties, unity and integrity, all those things should be seen, and that is where the social and civic values are going to play a very, very important role. Apart from these three, and the most important purpose of education is intellectual value. That is the most important, what Sir told about our Honorable Minister, intellectual value. So that is where these are the four values, and probably if you look at Japan, while building a NEP document we are talking about, we are looked at all over the world. In Japan, first three standards, they don't conduct any examination. Because first three standard, they only build the value in the minds of, inculcate the value in the minds of young kids. So the value foundation they build the first 3 years, and 4th year onwards examination starts. Not from LKG examination. Because building value, and in India traditionally, probably, I was raised by my grandparents, grandmother. So that system is nowhere true today, because we are moving away from our native place to other places. And in this highly connected world, we are highly disconnected with our roots. And that is where grandchildren are not going to be raised by grandparents, and they don't listen the Indian knowledge system. The great King Shivaji or great King 𝗟𝗏𝗲𝗄𝐿, 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲, they don't listen. They would be given to the maids, and you can understand what kind of value will be built. And that is where in the new education policy, national education policy, 5 years, quality 5 years. So 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 has been inculcated, so that value foundation also built in the minds of young minds. And that is where it is extremely important, active learning. In primary schools, learning is one thing, there may be a passive learning, but here in NEP, we are talking about active learning. Active learning possible only when students, you create an interest in learning. So instead of teaching, teacher's job is teaching, but now instead of teaching, we should make students at a central place and how learning happens. And teaching is required for learning, and that is where instead of teaching learning, now people started changing the sequence, learning and teaching. Because I was working in L&T, I learned a lot, and once you learn, you have to teach your successor, your follower. So that is why L&T we used to call as a learning and teaching organization. Even though it is an industry, Larsen and Toubro, but lot of learning and teaching happens. That is where L is extremely important, it is a central place. Because if you look at the NEP document, it has been told the central place for education is now not materialistic goals. Central place for education is not giving the job. A central place of education is shifted from stakeholder. Stakeholder means basically we are looking for the industry to give the job to the students once they complete the education. It is not the goal. Now the goal is basically converting every individual as a great human being. A human being who can take care of all living beings. But today, a Mother Earth, the planet, it is endangered situation. 1.75 times of natural resources have been consumed already. So that is where it is extremely important. A central principle of education is planet and people, not the money. Money is important, but it doesn't come in first place. So that is where people and planet, global citizenship, global social responsibility, and multiple perspective. Not one perspective. If I go to the doctor for my teeth treatment, he will take out the good teeth and create a problem for eye. And if you go to the eye, that eye specialist may create something, because his job is only, I have to take care of eye, and he forgot its negative impact on other component of the body. Probably ear problem may come. And then if you go to the specialist of ENT, then brain problem will come. That is why multi-perspective, the dentist has to see there should not be any negative impact on eye, there should not be any negative impact on ear and brain. So that multiple perspective, that is where in national education policy it has been mentioned, multidisciplinary holistic education. And that is what is extremely important. I am sure there are going to be a large number of training program for the faculty member as a part of NEP. Teachers education is there, and also a great leaders are to be trained for implementation as well as lead the institutions. Probably the way we recruit the head of the institutions, the directors, the vice chancellors, I was part of many vice chancellor selection. A current system is going to change, a new system is going to be entirely different. There is going to be very, very less regulation and more autonomy and more freedom and more focus on learning. So that is where light and tight regulation is going to come. It is mentioned in the document, light and tight. So a lot of freedom is going to be given. So I am sure this time to grow, really, this is the right time. I think Manishji, you have brought out, and all these teachers, I must say, a great days are ahead. Great times are yet to come. Yet to come in the sense, I mean 2035 is going to be a golden era for India to lead the world. And you might have heard about India once upon a time Vishwaguru. Again, we need not to tell the history, but if you today look at Europe, Europe is living in history. America is living in history. Britain is living in history. Japan is at most at the bottom of the history. I think now Asian countries and particularly India is going to create a history. And that is where, as a part of history, once again we are going to be much better Vishwaguru to take care of the globe, to lead the world, and to create a citizen who can take care of people and planet and create such a human being out of the education. They can create, they should have an ability to create a wealth. Ability to create a wealth is basically that richness we are going to add to the student. Ability to create a wealth, maybe basically they will be joining the company to create a wealth for that company, or they may start their own company to create a job for the others. So both purpose is ability to create, but the most important one is to build the holistic human being who can take care of all the people, not only people, but all living beings, animal, insects, and including plants. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.